All right, everybody. Well, like I say, we don't have our typical intro like we do. We were going to do something pretty cool for RBT crankbaits, which we will show that picture in a little while if Chris gets time to kind of mess with that. But as usual, like I say, it ain't a perfect show, not unless you got some crazy software issues going on. So, but we're here. Chris, thank you for getting all that worked out, man. I really appreciate it.
I hope it stays fixed.
Yeah. Well, we'll see. We'll see how the show goes. But other than that, guys, I think we're going to have a really good show. I think everything's going to go good. Pull your mic now.
Yeah, I might need that.
Yeah, I think we're going to have a good show. Everything's going to work out perfect now. We're on air, so let's just see. But anyways, before we get going, I really want to thank all our sponsors. We've got some really great sponsors that's helped us out get through these trying times we've had with software issues and all that. They've stuck with us, so just really want to thank all of our sponsors. You can see them scrolling through, but I just kind of want to name them off with Bonafide Kayaks, Yak Attack, Missile Baits, Falcon Rods, Baiano Power, Parapole, and AccuCoal. So, guys, make sure you go check them out. Show them some love. Go check out their products. Also, we have some of their products on our webpage. With we don't have no Bonafide Kayaks, but we do have Yak Attack and AccuCoal and some Rogue stuff and all that you can go purchase. So make sure you go to oneobjectivebf.com to check out some really cool products out there, and then also some of the stories we share from other websites that we find interesting for people to kind of check out. So, but other than that, Chris, how you doing today, man? I know y'all went and had a good day yesterday.
We
spent some money on tackle.
Yeah, spent some money. Got a few things that I needed.
Yeah,
couldn't live without.
That's right. Getting ready for the year.
Yeah.
It's spring. It's starting to come spring around. Trees are starting to bud a little bit.
Yeah. Bass Pro and Green Top were both packed. So.
Oh yeah. People are really starting to pack the tackle boxes right now, getting ready for the year.
Yes,
so, but kind of speaking of getting ready for the year, the season's already kicked off for Bassmaster Elites, for Major League Fishing, Kayak, the KBF Series, the Hobie Series, and now we're going to kick off the very first Bassmasters B.A.S.S Nation Kayak Series. So to kind of talk about all this, we got a special guest on tonight, Cory Dreyer. Cory, how are you doing tonight, buddy?
I'm doing great. How are you guys?
Oh, not too bad, man. I really appreciate you taking the time, and thank you for being patient working through these technical issues.
Absolutely. It happens.
Yeah. Everything ain't going to work out perfect every time. So,
right.
But tell us a little bit where you at right now, man. I mean, you're getting ready. You and Jody Queen rooming together right now. Where are y'all at the moment?
We are actually just outside of Pell City, Alabama. So we're down here, got a hotel for the week, doing a little pre-fishing when we can. I've got, I'm still working this week as well, so I'm working remotely. But yeah, trying to capitalize on that time before the tournament. So
yeah,
getting excited, man.
Oh yeah. I think this is gonna be a big deal. This is gonna be the jump start of something big. I mean, I know Hobie, Hobie runs a really great trail. KBF runs a really great trail. I think it's just gonna be the start of something big here, and I'm excited to see how this is gonna go. But kind of, what's your take on the whole Bassmasters jumping into the kayaking scene?
I think it's great, man. More opportunity for all us anglers, especially the guys that tend to tournament fish and travel around. So more opportunity out there. That's the most exciting part, but, it does complicate things with the guys that, have families like myself, a regular 9-to-5 job, and whatnot, just because we have to schedule around 3 different series now. So I try to fish as much as I can, but, family comes first, and then work, and then, fishing for me. So,
yeah. So,
but yeah, great, man. I'm excited.
Yeah. And I mean, I know the Bass series it's all over the place this year. It's not you're starting to see some of these little satellite series coming in, like the grassroots, the B.A.S.S Nation series, you know what I mean? The Federation Nation. You're starting to see some of these satellite series starting up with it now. And I think next year is going to be really great because there's going to be a qualifying process to get to this whole deal. But, I mean, have you seen anything in your state where it's starting to getting some of these Federation Kayak Series now?
Yeah, so Garrett Ginkley is a tournament director and good friend of mine for CKA, the series that I started, let's say 6 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
So we brought Garrett on last year. He was a huge help. He did judging for us and stuff, had a newborn baby, so he really wasn't able to get out on the water. But yeah, he's been in contact with our state for North Carolina, so he's heading that up. And we're looking forward to, having an event or two this year. So it's going to be good.
Yeah. Now, with what I was getting to in my other question, I totally forgot where I was going with it. But with the series being all over the place, have you kind of picked one main tournament series you're going to fish that, where you're kind of competitive with points and all that, and fish some of these other events here and there? I mean, is there one series that you're really looking at that you're going to try to fish all their events?
Honestly, I have a spread, but the way my schedule works out again this year, it looks like KBF. So I'm going to hit as many pro trails as I can, or pro events, and then the Mid-Atlantic and Southeast trail events. There is a couple B.A.S. Hobie B.A.S. series that I'd like to hit. I want to try to hit Chickamauga and Lake Norman. So we'll see if that plays out. And then with Bassmaster, I'm going to try to hit 2.
Yeah. Yeah. It's, me and James said this year, we was like, man, we were going to focus on our YouTube. I've talked about this in other shows. It was like, man, we're going to focus just on our YouTube, and we're not doing no tournaments this year. Absolutely none, no matter what. And then they did the KBF, where the regional is going to be on Smith Mountain Lake, which is 45 minutes from my house. And they had some really great lakes. I'm like, oh, dude, really? We ain't going to do this? He's like, no, YouTube, man. And then, Bassmasters came out, and I'm like, you got to be kidding me. This is perfect. So we're going to ride it out this year and see. But I'm really excited. I'm excited to get this year kicked off with everything. But I'm really excited to see how it goes next year. You know what I mean? How this is going to build next year. Because I think, like I say, this year's just kind of it was kind of like how it was with the Bass Pro Tour last year, and seeing what's going to happen, what's going to change, and all that. And now we're kind of all right, let's see what's going to happen next year with Bass, and how the qualifying events are going to be, and this and that. So, but anyways, kind of getting into the Hobie series. There's each one's good, but is there one that you like more than the other when it comes to Hobie and KBF? I mean, you ain't got to answer that. I'm just saying, is there anything particular you like about one compared to the other?
To be honest with you, I haven't been able to fish any of the Hobie B.A.S. series. Last year, I tried multiple times. It just didn't line up with family events and work. And prior to that, when they had the B.A.S. Opens, I tried to go to Kentucky Lake for 3 years in a row. Yeah. That's one of my favorite lakes. But it just didn't work out. So I honestly have never fished a Hobie event. I hear great things about it from, all the anglers and how well it's ran. But, my heart has always been with KBF. But, now that the B.A.S. series, I haven't been to any. I'm just going off what everybody's told me. And, AJ's a personal friend of mine as well. And, he great guy. So, hats off to him, man. Everybody, says it's great and very well ran.
Yeah.
So
I think go ahead.
There's just so much opportunity now. It's really hard, like I said, to schedule around, and I can't travel every week. I'd love to. Yeah. It just doesn't work out. We'd all like to do this full time, but it's tough. Unless you're Jody Queen and get out there.
Yeah. Win all that money.
Seems like.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's been on the road for 14 days, he said. So
man.
But yeah, I'm really looking forward to either fishing Norman or Chickamauga with Hobie. So, we'll see if it works out.
Yeah. Now I know you do. You've done some bass boat stuff and all that. But what is it that really pulls you back to the kayaking side? I know it. For me, it's grassroots. That's right. Where it kind of started. And I didn't really say so I started in kayaking, but I started in John boats and some small kayak stuff. But there's always something about those bass boat tournaments that still, it looks very appealing to me, and I love it. But I also love going on a kayak. What is it for you that, you're like, I'm going to go more towards the kayaking side of it?
The kayaks, Man, it's hard to put a finger on it. Honestly, it's the people. I've met some of my best friends through, kayak fishing. But yeah, I mean, the people that, and then it's just different being in a kayak and landing fish, from saltwater to freshwater. You're right there. It's kind of your eye level with that. And to be honest with you, kayak fishing has made me a better angler all the way around. And the reason why is because I feel like, you can't get on that motor, and blast down the lake when you don't get a bite. So you tend to break down water more, and be more effective. So, you kind of select your spots in pre-fishing, and we really dial it in that area. So, but there's just something about it. I don't know. I have a newer bass boat, and, my wife always kids around with me, and she's like, you don't use it that often. Like, I thought you would, and it's kayak fishing. That's my deal. So,
yeah.
But yeah, I mean, there's a lot of different things that bring me towards it. So that's the main ones though.
Yeah, that's what, we got away from it for many years when me and James like I said, we put in a little 12-foot V-bottom boat at Smith Mountain Lake when that big guys were putting in, we felt like the big dogs when we were putting in with them at the tournament, and you're young and dumb but we had a good time with it. And then we finally got in the bass boat side, and there was always that stuff of like, man, James was like, man, I really wish we could go fish this, We don't have a boat no more to fish this, Remember when we was kids, we used to fish this. So, for the river now, like I've gotten back more into fishing the rivers and all that, and I have a lot more fun now going and putting in the river dog and hanging a big smallmouth. You just don't get that kind of action. Not unless you go up north somewhere, do you get that kind of action in a bass boat. It's just a blast. Like I say, it's grassroots. It brings you back to it. And you're right on that aspect as making you a better angler. Like I say, you have to figure it out in that spot. I mean, during practice, you can check different areas, and you have the ability to pull out during a tournament and go to another location, but you're wasting so much time.
Yeah, there's been a few of the bigger tournaments. I actually have towed my bass boat to them and practiced, for a couple days, and then kind of, the biggest thing is I was able to eliminate water, but what I did find is that I was doing typical boating stuff and blasting from one spot to the next.
Yeah.
Versus breaking down that water. So it made it, I learned a lot by doing that. So now I've kind of steered away from doing that. I joked with Jody today and said I should have brought my boat to Logan Martin to, it's not a huge lake by any means, but there's a lot of water, and there's only so many ramps, so it's kind of like break down an area at least and eliminate a key area or a specific area, I should say.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's the thing about that. Yeah, you're gonna break down that area no matter what. And I've learned some stuff about some of my spots I used to fish at Smith just by fishing a kayak now. Because, man, I'd get in the boat and blast on off, take on off and get on out of there. You know what I mean? Now I'm like, man, I've been blasting off past the fish the whole time, So
that's right. They're right there and you didn't know it.
Yeah. So
yeah.
But let's kind of talk about, all right, you got the Bassmaster event coming up. What are some things, I mean, Logan Martin, I know that can be a big spot fishery. It's a lot of spots there. What do you think is going to take? I know you ain't had much practice time or anything like that, but roundabout, what do you think is going to take to win that event inch wise?
Honestly, I think I'm going to say like 92 inches. I don't think we'll get closer to 100. Upper 80s to low 90s, I think is going to win. And I think it's going to be a tight field, to be honest. The reports that I've gotten from talking to buddies that have been out here for a couple days, there's a lot of undersized fish, and then there's a lot of 12 to 14 inchers.
Yeah.
I think that I was talking actually to Scott Butcher a little while ago, and, we were discussing this very thing, and he thinks that if somebody can get on, say an average of 17-inch fish, that's about 85 inches, that'll probably take the tournament. But we'll see. I mean, I don't know. My goal always is in every event is at least to hit 80 inches, and I shoot for 85 plus.
Yeah.
I always feel, if I can do that, I'm comfortable. but I'm always trying to get more than that. But I always feel if you can hit 85 or plus, you're gonna cash a check typically, or be in the top, the top 10.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's kind of my goal going into every event. But I don't know. Today we drove around. We didn't even get on the water. We slept in. We had a long drive from Santee Cooper over last night. It was about 6 hours, 6.5 hours. And then we drove around and looked at multiple ramps today and just kind of scouted, from the car, and then, Google Earth and Navionics, the typical stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we have a game plan. The biggest thing is we've got a lot of rain coming. So I'm not really sure how that's going to affect the fishing yet, but they're calling for like 6 to 8 inches of rain this week. And the water is low right now. They dumped a lot of water out of the lake. It's low, and it's actually clearer than I thought it would be. So we'll see how it all plays out.
Yeah. Yeah, and like getting in that kind of time of year, I don't want to go in too much because, like I said, I don't want to mess nobody's patterns or give information y'all don't want. But like I say, being a spotted fishery, I know there's a lot of Coosa River spots in that kind of area, so they get big. They're mean. They're really mean fish. So,
oh yeah.
I mean, but you see a lot of events too, like with the college series going there, and some of the FLW guys going there. It's never really like a slugfest. It's a tough bite, but a lot of times when they hit that, it's middle of the summer or something like that. So that can be tough as well on a spotted fishery. So.
Right.
But, Chris, you said we got a question come in?
Yeah, Brad Case wants to ask Cory how Greta is doing.
Man, I don't know what he's talking about. He's crazy. How Greta's doing? He's wild, man. We stayed with him last night.
Yeah.
We like the junk.
So let's talk a little bit. All right. You kind of had a tough event, man. You had a tough KBF event in Santee Cooper.
I did.
Tell us a little bit what happened, man. I mean, did you have a good pattern going into it, or did something fall apart? Or
honestly, I was going off of past history. The area I fished was actually Utahville, and I've done well at Santee Cooper since 2013. I've cashed a check every time, but now twice. So I've done fairly well there. But I didn't have any time to pre-fish. I got there at like 12 o'clock, got on the water. I tried a spot that we fished last year. The water was extremely high and muddy, and I didn't have a bite. So I spent about an hour and a half, 2 hours out there. I packed up and I went to another spot. And I actually met up with Casey Reed and Jody, and it happened that they were actually in a spot that I fished 2 years ago and just killed them. So it's a well-known area. But yeah, I didn't have much, I didn't have really any pre-fishing time, so to speak. So we get out there and just kind of swung for the fence, man. Kind of just did what I know and what I thought it was going to do. I had 5 bites total, and one of them was a bowfin. So I caught about a 10, 11 pound bowfin. The other ones felt like bass. But they just weren't committed. It seemed like they were I was using plastics is what I had all my bites on, and a Z-Man Mag Fatty Z worm. And so that Magnum word, I look back and I should have probably downsized. But I think they were grabbing the back of the worm and, they weren't getting the hook. So I kind of let them swim with it. After the first 2 I missed, I let the other 2 swim with it for a minute and hoping that they'd choke it down, but it just didn't happen, man. But yeah, I had a very tough event. It was it was a tough bite. We had there was four kayak anglers in this area. Jody was one of them, and Casey ended up coming over about 12 o'clock or so. And they had some bites, and another guy got a couple bites in there, but that was really it. It was tough. We had to grind it out for sure.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at the I say weights, but the inches for the event, and I was following along with it through the day, checking on Casey and all them guys that from around this area, and it was just like, man, it was a grind. Like I seen people posting pictures of some decent fish that they were catching during practice, but then you're like, when the event came around, I know the wind blew real bad. It was some big names in that tournament that didn't do that well. You know what I mean? And it was just, like I say, it was a grind for everyone.
I want to say like 80 to 100 34 people didn't catch a fish, and there was only there was under 200 fish caught out of 130 some people. So that tells you, I think there was 5 limits. Is that right?
I think it was 5. Yeah.
Yeah. So 5
Wow.
limits. There's a lot of 4s and 3s. A couple guys had 2 fish, but
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, that's tough, man. Chris, we say we got another question come in?
Yeah, Jarrett wants to know Cory's number one pre-spawn, spawn, post-spawn bait for each, if he has one.
Oh, all right. Let's save that real quick because we're gonna get into an in-depth segment here in a little while.
All right.
And then we'll save that question for here in a little while. But that's a good question.
And Brad says Greta was riding with him on Santee.
Yeah. Oh, gosh.
Man. But yeah, so let's kind of talk. All right, I know we're kind of all over the place. Going into this following this year now with the KBF, what is one of the events that you're really looking forward to getting on the water and thinking you got a really good chance at? Which I know we try to think we got a good chance at all of them, but what is one KBF event this year that you're really looking forward to, ready to get on the water?
Lacrosse. So I've never been up there. I've done a lot of research on it. Same thing, as we talked about earlier with family and work and stuff kind of got in the way. But from everything that I've seen and the anglers talking to them, it's kind of right in my wheelhouse. So I think that I'll end up doing pretty well there.
Yeah.
So I'm looking forward to doing that one this year.
That does look like a fun fishery. I always watch it. I like watching when, like, say, the tour guys go up there, and then, when the KBF series goes up there and has an event, it's always some nice fish caught, beautiful fish up there. And
For sure.
And everything just looks like it should hold fish. It's just a
Right.
great looking fishery. So, yeah, I would love to have the opportunity to get up there. What's another event that you're looking forward to kind of after that?
Chickamauga.
Yeah.
I really like Chick. So that one's definitely up there on the list as well. So it's kind of, I like fishing grass. I'm a power fisherman, so I like to cover a lot of water, and it just kind of plays out for me there.
Yeah, yeah. Now let's kind of get into one more topic here. I actually wanted to cover this first, and then with the whole technical issues we had, it kind of made me go crazy a little bit and not get my story straight here. But let's kind of talk a little bit about you getting into your life and how you got into this whole sport, this crazy sport of bass fishing in general. I mean, how did it all start for you?
So kayak fishing. So I got out of. So a little background on myself. I was in the Marine Corps from 2000 to 2004, and I got out, lived with my now wife in Greenville, North Carolina for a couple years, and I ended up moving back to Florida. And kayak fishing at that time was starting to grow, and you really saw it in like the inshore scene. And I grew up a few blocks away from Tampa Bay, and so we had a house down there, a condo, and I ended up buying a Wilderness Systems Tarpon 140 with a rudder off of Craigslist from a guy. He had a depth finder, like he had everything for it. And so that just gave me another means to get on the water because I like to wade fish. At that time I didn't have a boat. My dad had a skiff, and instead of borrowing it all the time, I had my own way of getting on the water. So that was in 2006. So I started fishing pretty heavily inshore. I bass fished a little bit here and there, but it was really, I was chasing reds and trout, snook, and things like that. And then a few years later, we ended up moving, 2009, we ended up moving back to North Carolina. I sold my kayak, got back and regretted it instantly. So I ended up buying a Ride 135 from Hook One. And I kind of followed Chad Hoover online, with the forum and things like that. And then in 2012 is when I really started doing the tournaments and started fishing KBF, the online challenge series deals. And then I did the Santee Cooper Opens in 2012 and 2013. So that's really when I got into the bigger events. And then we had a local Carolina Yak Fish, and there was a couple other charity events in North Carolina. And I did that. And then I decided to start my own series. So Carolina Yak Fish kind of disbanded, and we kind of took over the reins for the state, so to speak. So I started Carolina Kayak Anglers with Wayne Butler and Garrett Phillips. And Still to this day, Garrett's no longer a part of it. He reaches out here and there, but Wayne and I, Henry Vajon, Eric Nelson, and a couple other guys now, Garrett, and then Ron Gerber, we all run the series, and they call me the advisor now. So I'll kind of step back and let them take it. But yeah, that's kind of my background and how I got into it. But, and then the past, since really 2013, I've traveled a bunch and fished as much as possible.
Yeah. Yeah. It's, that's what I like, seeing how these kayak tournaments evolved, and then guys kind of getting out and stepping up and moving up to these bigger series. Casey's the same way. Casey's a good friend of ours. Casey lives about, I don't know, 10, 15 minutes from me, and we have him on the show on a regular basis.
Yeah.
And I supply that man with some shaky heads. It's bad is I've supplied that man with some shaky heads, and it's bad when you fish an event with them, against them, and you still get beat by your own bait all the time. I'm like, dude, I need to quit supplying you before we fish an event against each other. But nah,
that is me, the shaky head, man. He kicks my butt typically with that bait. So
yeah,
I like throwing it as well. But man, that dude, he's always got, it seems like 2 or 3 tied on.
yeah. And you talk to him, man. It's like so simple with him, like.
Yeah,
I'll watch him fish some other lakes. I'm like, dude, what did you catch that big fish on shaky head? I'm like, do you throw anything else? Like, do you need any other box on your boat? But
hey, man, it's all about confidence.
Yep.
So when you have confidence in a bait, it's like, why give it up?
Exactly.
I like to learn different techniques, but I definitely have some of those baits that I like to throw a lot. So
yeah, oh yeah. I mean, it's like Smelt Lake here. It's a deep, clear lake, not as clear as some, but it's a drop shot lake, and if I'm putting in on that lake, I'm going to have a drop shot on it though by that dock. I mean, I'll throw a spinner bait or a crankbait for a little bit, and I don't get a bite, and the rest of the day's drop shot, So, but yeah, it's confidence. Fishing's a confidence mental thing, and you can tell with a lot of guys. But let's kind of do a little in-depth segment, because we had that question on it. What do I normally try to do when we do these in-depth segments is kind of going off a pattern that's going on at the moment right now. So, we're getting into that, I'm going to call it early spring, because we really didn't have a winter. So that early spring bite, what are some things that you typically rely on when you're trying to find fish and like I say, get a quick limit maybe in the early spring?
So early spring, I mean, like right now where we're at, here in Alabama, I mean, the water temps are anywhere from like 51 to 55. You might find a little bit warmer. So it's really that pre-spawn. They're starting to feed up a lot. So I'm going to concentrate mostly on points, like main lake points, and then I'll start there and then push back to secondary points and then get back further into the pockets. So, and what I like to do is I like to use some kind of search bait. Like right now, I mean, rattle trap, a chatterbait style, bladed jig, spinner bait, something that I can cover some water, and try to get some bites. And then from there, I'll usually throw a Cinco or shaky head or something like that, a jig, and kind of maximize on the fish once I find them. But yeah, that's really it.
Yeah. So, I mean, you kind of like, say you start on a point, you go deep to shallow, you know what I mean? And then you just start working your way back. And that's something a lot of people don't understand is a lake, like those creeks, those points, all that, it's a freeway, man. Like, that's, they work their way out. They hit every little point, pocket. I try to tell people like channel swings. It's just like it's a map. If you really look at a map and look at how the creek channel is, you can kind of sit there and kind of base how them fish are going to move. You just got to find out what depth they're at and what they're kind of relating to at the time. So, but like say once, what is some of your, like say, what is some of your Cincos and all that, but with your main bait, what is your main setup? Let's say, we had actually Seth Fighter on the other day talking about throwing a buzz bait, in 40.
Yeah, I listened to that, man. I don't honestly, when the water's this cold, I don't have a lot of confidence in it. When I get in the 60s, I think you mentioned that, around like 62 to 65, it seems like I get more bites.
Yeah.
And I took a lot away from that. I'm definitely going to try it some more. And keep that info close to me.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, my go-to bait, honestly, my search bait, a lot of guys know, I've been sponsored by Rattle Trap for a while. And that's kind of, I just feel like I can cover a lot of water, and the way I fish it, it seems like it works for me. So that's kind of my confidence deal. And then a bladed jig, and there's various ones out on the market. The jackhammer works really well for me. So, but yeah, the shock blade, I'm actually sponsored by Picasso as well, and use the shock blade. But there's just something a little different about the jackhammer. Different times. It just seems like if I don't get bit on that, you can try different baits and bladed jigs, and they seem to eat different ones at different times. But yeah, rattle trap is that'll be my main thing. Honestly, here, that's what I'll look for some bites with, and then kind of just break it down from there.
Now, a lot of people work into like crawfish colors and all that this time of the year. Do you try to keep it more shad, or do you change it up much with, I know watercolor is a big play into that, but what is your like?
Yeah, more natural. I try to match the hatch like everybody says, but muddier water and things like that. Chartreuse, red. Rattle trap makes a red chrome rattle trap, like a half ounce, that I absolutely love. So I can't get enough of those.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, you beat the paint off. Like I like to fish them shallow and beat them off of rocks and things like that. But yeah.
What's kind of your setup now when it comes to the line? Are you kind of a fluorocarbon guy, or do you like throwing braid a lot?
Yeah.
Or?
No, honestly, I don't fish a lot of braid. I fish some braid on spinning, spinning tackle for finesse stuff and Senkos and things like that. But I'm a fluorocarbon guy, and really in the last, I'd say 9 months to a year, I switched over to Sunline. And I've had really good success with it. Prior to that, I was using a lot of Seagar, and, I've gone from Red Label up to InvisX and, all the way through to Tatsu and things. But and I liked it. But Sunline, I've had really good success with it. So that's kind of what I'm sticking with now. But for that, I'm using like 12-pound test, for rattle traps and whatnot. And I've got a rattle trap rod that Cashin makes. So it's a 7.5 rod. It's phenomenal, man.
Yeah. Yeah, they make some good rods. I've picked them up before, and like I said, I know we're big Falcon guys, but when there's a good rod, I pick it up and look at it, and and Cashin, I just remember when them guys were really getting going, and then what they are now, they make some good stuff, and that's made for certain techniques and stuff like that. So they do make some good stuff. And John Cruz, being not far up the road from us, he's a big caching guy. So I'm always, learning a lot about them rods, but I can't get away from them Falcons, man. I love Falcon rod. I don't know what it is about it.
Hey, they make great rods, man. I used to use them a lot, back when I was in the saltwater. They had the Coastal XG, I think, is the rods I used for Falcon. And I loved them. They were great.
Yeah, they do make some. We're actually kind of messing around with some catfish and stuff here lately. I don't know why. Just me and Chris have been talking about it more, wanting to do it a little bit more on the rivers. But I've been looking at some of their deep sea rods for catfishing rods. So, but yeah, no, that's cool, man. I like I say, I love going in depth with some of these with you guys and seeing how your brain ticks at certain times. But now, like, say,
right.
What is that sweet spot when you really start saying, okay, I'm going to just stay into the backs of these creeks? I know a lot of times, like I said, you're just working your way back there, but is there certain water temperature you're like, hey, I know I just need to be back here?
Low to mid 60s. I mean, once you start finding them and you get bit, I mean, it's kind of like you're not going to get ones and twos a lot of times. If you look in the general area, you're going to start getting bit everywhere.
Yeah.
And if I'm catching, the other thing is too is, if it's just the males up shallow and you're catching a bunch, I typically will pull back out a little bit to that previous spot of where I was, because the females are not going to be far behind.
Yeah.
They're going to be somewhere staged up, and they're out feeding, getting ready to get up on the bed and do their thing. But yeah, mid 60s, so low to mid 60s.
I got you. Yeah, that's the time I love. That's when I really start looking. Ain't nothing like what I think it's really cool just to watch them, even if you don't catch them. Just watch them go up there and do their thing. You know what I mean? And watch the whole process. It's really cool. It's really neat to watch all that go down.
For sure.
But no, all right. We'll kind of change gears here a little bit. Thanks for going in depth on that. Especially, I know you got an event getting ready to come up. You don't want to tell too much secrets, but I really do appreciate you taking the time with that.
Yep.
And there's been another controversy that come up, and I don't want to go deep into that. I don't want the drama of it. You know what I mean? But with the new rule change, with a lot of with Hobie going to the catch boards and all that, what do you think about that? Do you think that's great that they're going solely to that board? I know some rule changes going on with the event that happened earlier this week.
Yeah, I kind of have mixed feelings on the one standard board. I'm great friends with Duke, and I'm on the catch team and stuff like that. So, but and it's great for business for them.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I feel like just a rule of how to measure the fish. It's kind of hard to police that, though, honestly.
Yeah.
Because if you were to put a board across your lap, like you could push down on the board if your legs are spread, kind of, so to speak. And maybe gain some length there, but trying to get everybody to measure them on the floor would be hard, and there's so many different boats, but yeah, I mean, I definitely, after looking into everything and my past experiences and knowledge on the whole deal, I definitely feel like there should have been a rule change. So,
and this is kind of my opinion, and me and James talked about this after we seen everything going down, and in my opinion was, all right, now when you start getting to a pro series like the Hobie Open series, that's more of your pro guys are going to be fishing stuff like that. It's more money put down. It ain't your regular weekend warrior.
Right.
And then you're also getting into like the Bassmaster series. They're doing their thing this year, but then you also got the KBF where they do a lot of their pro series and all that. My thing was, and I know it's expensive, but my thing was, I don't understand like why these tournament series don't provide a board. You all have to go to a meeting the night before. Like I say, I know if you got 200 anglers, that is a lot of money in catch boards. I do get that. And it's another expense that sometimes it ain't that much money there on some of these series, But
right.
But just kind of looking at it across the board and be fair and be the same. I haven't understood why they haven't done that yet. Like, hey, everybody's going to.
Yeah, and my thoughts. Yeah, I mean, my thoughts. I thought about the same thing. I think it would be easier for with outside of the monetary expense of it, but I think it would be easier for, say, Bassmaster and Hobie to do that.
Yeah.
And say buy 200 to 300 boards, and at the captain's meeting distribute them out to everybody. They're numbered, and they can engrave them and have them all numbered on the bump, and assign it to the angler or whatever. At the end of the tournament, you turn your board in. Like there's no cheating the board in any way at that point.
Yeah.
But when you get into that's for those two series. And my thought is like with KBF, they run so many events. They have the pro event, they have all the trail events, they've got the challenge series. Like if you're going to make a rule, it needs to be across the board. So, you got to think how many boards would KBF have to do?
Yeah.
And then you've got regions, like you've got your trails for, the Southeast, the Mid-Atlantic, the Northeast, out West, wherever. So then you've got your tournament directors that are in charge of that region. They would have to ship those boards to them. And you're talking a huge expense.
Yeah.
But, and I'm not taking anything away from the other two, because I mean, buying 300 catch boards for, say Hobie and Bass, that's a lot. That's a lot of money.
Yeah.
But that's kind of, I mean, I think it's probably the monetary expense of it is what's keeping them away from doing that. But, my thought is too, yeah, the board's expensive, but, and I see a lot of people, they're like, oh, now I got to buy a $60 board. In reality, we go to Bass Pro Shop or whatever our favorite tackle shop is.
Yeah.
We're buying $20 baits like it's nothing.
Yeah.
So we have a lot of money invested in all our other tools, and that's what you need to look at is it's an actual tool. And I've been using catch boards since I was in the 10, and Duke gave everybody one, and then, I bought another one after that. But to me, the reason I went with it is because it's more rigid. Yeah, it's heavy, but I use a lanyard on it, and it's just a more durable board. I don't ever have to worry about it breaking.
No.
Whereas a hog trough, I've had them crack. Putting big fish on them, have them go crazy, and you actually do push down on them to kind of keep them in place, but they crack very easily.
Yeah.
So, that was my big thing with going with the catch board. So, and then the different colors and, there's little tricks, Jody Queen actually, he marked his lines with a Sharpie and used steel wool? Steel wool. Yeah, steel wool, and kind of took the sheen off of it and clear coated it with like a matte finish.
Mm-hmm.
And so you don't run into that glare issue that you see a lot of people talking about with the catch boards. They say that it's hard to read, but at the end of the day, I try to tell everybody, like, it's up to us. It's angler responsibility to make sure your pictures are right.
Yeah.
And I've learned that over the years. And yeah, I've had bad pictures. We all have. But at the end of the day, it's our responsibility. So, guys talk about what color's the best, to read and things. Review your pictures and kind of play the sun. You can always turn your kayak around and have the sun at your back, where you can actually see the fish and there's no brightness on your board. But yeah, I kind of got off on a little tangent there.
No, you're fine. No, and that's, me and James was just discussing it, if we had our own series, granted we don't, and it's easy to say that when you don't have everything on the line and you don't have the money out there, it's just,
right.
But, I'm just like, you look at like Major League Fishing, for instance, the angler doesn't bring his own scale. You know what I mean? They supply each one, and they don't even weigh their fish. Like, they have an official weight. Now, I know you can't do that in KBF stuff or any kayak series. You can't have a guy there to measure your fish. But I just think, like say the Hobie and probably the Bass, it might be a little bit easier for the big series, the pro series. But I see what you're saying with the KBF side. There is so many different divisions and pro series events that that would be a big fortune.
It's just a big expense, and it's a big expense it'd be a huge expense for all three.
Yeah.
And then you've got, the maintenance of them, and, somebody loses one. There's all kinds of things, you got to replace. So you'd have to have extras. Who knows? We might see that come down the road. But I do like the standardization of having, I'm kind of on the fence there, but having one board would be nice across all. And we're actually with CKA in North Carolina. We're talking about, what to do in the future if we're going to go, to all catch boards. Are we going to offer the yak gear board, the hog trough and catch? So I'm not really sure.
Yeah.
But catch also has their new polymer board coming out around June, maybe sooner. It's going to be $30, and it looks a lot more durable than what the hog trough is. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, and in a way, you kind of feel bad too on the Hogcroft side, but they've never really tried to change their design much and making it more rigid than it is. But
right,
because now you're kind of like, all right, now we're getting rid of this. I know there's still other clubs that'll use it and people still use it, but
yeah, but the other thing that people don't think about is this affects businesses, like and sales. It's not a huge amount of sales, but there's a few shops, and I won't mention the name. Like I'm a sales rep for Confluence, which sells wilderness systems and Perception and all the different brands. But one of my accounts I was recently talking to, they sell a lot of hog troughs, and since this happened, they've had no sales in store or online.
Yeah,
and that kind of. It took me back a little bit because I didn't think about that, but it affects more than just the anglers. Like, you're affecting people's businesses as well by taking, and kayak fishing is a small community. There's only so many of us, but we all talk, and it's going to affect more than just anglers. And like I said, it's not a huge monetary amount, but money's money. So Duke's going to have to, if everybody goes to catch, they're going to have to ramp up production and get them into retailers as well. So,
yeah, that's a big thing. That's something we'd love to carry is that, but like now that where he's at, he don't really offer that, so.
Yeah, that's coming though down the road.
Yeah. I see it. I see he'd have to, you know what I mean? And really push that. But yeah, a business is good, man. You can take the good with the bad on that side. He's probably like, holy crap, here we go.
Yeah, he's overwhelmed. Since this happened, all the tournament directors reaching out to him and, just kind of everybody asking what his thoughts are. And I'm sure it's overwhelming for him. He's going to have his personal thoughts on things like everybody does.
Yeah.
And, I try to stay out of the drama, and just, I don't want to egg it on.
Yeah.
So I got my feelings on it, and that's it. So.
Yeah, that's exactly right, man. But, hey, Chris, we got any other questions that's come across the board there? What's everybody saying tonight? Just kind of
hanging out,
chilling out, talking amongst themselves?
Yeah.
I got you. So, After kind of getting off that topic now, after the Bassmasters Classic deal going on, are you going to be at any of the booths there this weekend? I mean, next weekend, hanging out?
Yeah, so Friday, I am going to be in the cash-in booth. So I will be working with those guys, selling rods, and then I'm also going to be at the B.A.S.S Nation booth at some point. Dwayne Wally's going to be there and was looking for some folks to see, who could kind of pop in for an hour or two. And I told him, I said, hey, I'll stop by when I can just to talk to people about kayak fishing and the sport and, just answer any questions that I can. But, yeah, I'll be around. My daughter, everything's in the air right now. So if I win, then I'll stick around the whole weekend.
Yeah.
Obviously. But if I don't, I'm heading back Friday night. My daughter has a dance competition on Saturday, and I promised her and my wife and son that I'd be home, for the day and Saturday and Sunday.
Yeah. I fully understand that. Yeah, like I said earlier, family first. Those are those moments that you don't get back, and
that's right.
And that's something we've had to learn too with it last couple of years. That's why we pulled out of the tournament side and just focus on YouTube, because of the family stuff. You just can't make everybody happy when you tournament fish. I've learned that.
That's for sure. And with my job too, I travel a lot, so I'm gone. And I'm lucky enough that some of these events, I can work during the week and then get to fish on the weekend. Some of my travels, it doesn't always work that way, but yeah, I'm gone a lot and traveling for work and then going away for tournaments. So, I try to manage my time this year. I wanted to do it last year and kind of go all in. But this year I'm going to try to do as much as I can. I really want to shoot for the pro series of KBF AOI. And then I want to make the 10 again.
Yeah.
I made it the 1 year and then I got an automatic berth for being co-champion with Ron. And got to go twice, and it's one of the best events. I really gunned for it this year down at Invitational and finished third in that event. But it's great, man.
Yeah, they really took care of you guys. I loved seeing all the pictures, man, of you guys came into your room and your room was decked out with like coolers and shirts and all this stuff. They really took care of you guys.
Yeah, they really take care of us. They put us up in a nice house. The food this year it was catered food. I mean, they had a gigantic house. It's really just, it's no entry fee, and there's a lot of money on the line there. And the 10 really changed everything for me. So it's kind of a little fraternity of guys that have made it. But everybody, I met some guys that I really didn't know very well. I knew of them and fished against them and whatnot. But after that week being in Bienville, those two years, I mean, those guys are like my best friends now.
Yeah.
So it's awesome, man. This is a really good event, and I'm looking forward to trying to make it again. So we'll see what happens.
I want to get and Scott did one heck of a job covering that thing, man. Doing the drone stuff, man, it just really, it felt like you were watching something like on Bassmasters or Major League Fishing. You know what I mean? Like he did a really good job of trying to get everybody some coverage.
Right. That's the biggest balance. Is like a lot of people were like, oh, I didn't get the coverage that I wanted to or whatever. It's KBO's still small. They do as much as they can, but they're stretched thin. But yeah, they did a phenomenal job on this. Everybody commented and was like, this is great.
Yeah.
And they gave them enough airtime and kind of talked to the anglers and stuff like that. So I loved it, man. They killed it this year.
Yeah. I know people give grief on the KBF side and all that, but I'll tell you what, man, I mean, they do really good job. And I always kind of like to say, well, you got other events out there, but KBF seems like they've been kind of leading the pack a little bit on some of this stuff. I don't know how Bass is going to be. I don't understand all that yet, but
right.
KBF has done a really good job at trying to listen and make some changes. Like I say, you're not going to make everybody happy. I used to run a tournament series as well. It's a small club, and you just don't. You always got one or two guys that are just don't like what they do.
Nobody's perfect. You gotta sit back and remember that. I've gotten aggravated at things that that KBF has done. I mean, I'm open with everybody.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, nobody's perfect, and it's how they react to the situations. And if they make the changes, then I'm okay with it. But if they sit back and don't make changes, then I grumble about it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But they try. They're still a small business, so it's like they're running a business. That's the other thing that you got to think about. At the end of the day, and people can gripe all they want, but it is a business. It's not just a tournament series like, I ran in North Carolina.
Yeah.
So, they've got to make money to operate, and they bring a lot, and they've done a lot for kayak fishing.
Yep.
But yeah, I mean, all these series, they're all gonna do well, man. I mean, kayak fishing's still growing. It's still the fastest growing segment of paddle sports. So the more opportunity, the better. I love it, but it does make it hard though to do the scheduling. That's the hardest part for me.
Yeah.
Where I'm gonna.
Yeah, I've seen Ron Champion. I've seen other people post pictures of their schedule, and I'm like, how in the world, man, do you even make that happen? Like, it's just mind-boggling to me. But
well, that's what I call it my dream sheet. I have one of those as well, but it's in reality, you're not gonna. Things come up, and when you have kids and a family, and it doesn't even matter if you have that, but with work, things in life happen.
Yeah.
I'm gonna shoot for as many as I can, but yeah, it just seems like a lot. Like, it's overwhelming, and then there's conflicts with dates and things like that. So it's tough.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love it though, man. I love that there's more opportunity. It just kind of, it's great. If you get to travel for a weekend and you're gone, and you go fish an event, say, on the road for another week, you can hit another event that's pretty close by, whereas before we'd have to wait for a month. But
yeah,
it's awesome, dude.
I got you. Chris, you said we got a question?
Gary Dreyer says hello.
Gary Dreyer?
Cat Dreyer says hello.
That's mom and dad. Hey, mom and dad. They're some of my biggest fans as well.
That's right, man. I know how that is. That's your parents are always your big fans.
Besides my wife and kiddos.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. Well, Cory, we're going. Does Jody want to come on tonight? I don't want to bug him if he's getting tackle ready. But it ain't nothing like we talk long if he can. But if not, it's okay. I know he's getting ready for the next day.
Yeah, man. I just want to share my strategy for this tournament is going to be sight fishing.
Man.
I can see them far away, and I can cut the glare so I could really get a good handle on where they're at, and then I can see the numbers on my board when I do my submissions. So
yeah. Oh man.
That's all I'm saying. Just watch out.
I got you. Well, man, I just want to tell you, congratulations. Good seeing you, Jody. We always have a good time when you're on the show, man. And congratulations to your year so far. You've had a heck of a year. And looking forward to seeing how it's going to go, man, the rest of this year. I mean, I just don't see how it could get any worse. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I've been really fortunate to begin the year like this, man. I'm just going to try to ride the wave. We all have our ups and downs, but I could crash at any time, so I just hope it's not this.
That's right, man. Well, man, we're definitely been pulling for you, and like I say, it just you and Russ Snyder seem like it's just like there's no stopping you guys. You know what I mean? Like, you guys are on it.
Russ is a mutant, man. He's in a league of his own.
That dude's an animal.
That guy is an animal, man. I mean, if you want somebody to try to look up to and follow in the sport, to try to, figure out what it is that they're trying to do and make you a better kayak fisherman, that is the dude to follow.
Yeah, he's definitely riding that momentum wave, like from last year. He is just steadily getting it.
What's he won, like the last 4 he's in?
5, yeah.
Yeah.
The crazy thing about this, too, is we were all worked by guys from Tennessee. Josh Stewart, Craig Nye, they were like, keep an eye on this guy until he's coming. Yep. And I didn't know who he was. I saw his name around, but dude, Russ has brought it, man. That dude's, besides being a great guy, he's a phenomenal fisherman.
Yeah. Yeah, he's real. We had him on a show after, he won all the AOI and all that, and he's a really great guy, really humble guy. And if you talk to him, you never thought he won anything big. Just he's so humble about it. He's so quiet about it. So definitely, you guys are all great guys to represent the sport. You know what I mean? Like, y'all all really nice, humble guys, down to earth, and y'all are definitely at that, what I call that pro level. You got guys that share a bunch of pictures on Facebook and catch big fish all the time, but you don't really see them, like doing well at events. But you guys are doing well. Y'all are living a dream. Y'all are traveling. Y'all, anywhere you go, you catch them. So. Like I say, you guys are doing a heck of a job.
Except at Santee.
Except at Santee.
My feelings still hurt.
Yeah. Well, you know, like I say, we're all going to have a bad event every once in a while.
Yeah. It was bound to happen. We were talking about that, and it just so happened there, and hopefully that's the last one for a while. So
yeah.
Usually when you have one, you're okay for a while.
Yeah.
That's right. Kick that one under the rug and keep on trucking.
Happen.
Yeah.
Back to what you said there. I mean, you know, as our presence grows in this sport, and as the sport grows, you know, you get more and more people following and watching you. You have a responsibility, I feel, to you know, act with integrity in anything that you do.
Yeah.
So I mean, there's a lot of people watching you at any given time. So yeah, you need to be, you know, yourself and make sure that you're representing the sport well. You know, for the people that you want to get into the sport, because you want to grow the sport too. So
exactly.
So it's very important. Yeah.
Yep. I mean, you kind of look at Bassmasters and how they've grown, and the guys that represented that side of the sport, you know, and how many people that's looked up to them and chased their dreams to get to that, you know. Yep. So, and I see that in the kayak series, guys following you and wanting to be like y'all and chasing that dream to eventually be at y'all's level. So y'all have done a really good job, man.
Grows the sport. That's how the sport grows.
Yep.
You know, I mean, we want it to grow. We want the bigger it gets, the more choices that you have, and the bigger the purses get, because you got more people interested and more people going into the tournaments, and we want that. And, you know, not just the tournament people, but also the people who just like to, you know, go out casually and fish in their kayaks. I mean, it's good for the sport all the way around.
Absolutely.
Exactly right. Well, guys, I'm going to let y'all get to it. I know y'all got some practice starting to come up. Y'all want to get on the lake and hit it. And I look forward to seeing you guys down there. We'll be leaving Wednesday morning or Tuesday night, one of the two, to get down there. And looking forward to seeing you guys down there. But good luck. And like I say, thanks for coming on, guys, tonight. I really appreciate it. It's an honor to have you guys on.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for having me.
Pleasure,
appreciate
man.
it.
All right, man. Y'all have a good one. Thank you so
All
much.
Right. Safe travels. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Guys.
Bye. All right. That was a fun interview. Didn't even expect Jody Queen to come on.
Yeah, it's got a little extra there.
Yeah. So if you're on tonight watching, you got a little extra show there to it. So I don't know what was going on with Skype towards the end there. I don't know if it was just
it's just breaking up. A little bit.
So, but hey, man, I'm just glad we got on tonight. You know what I mean? It was looking pretty bad. What we got going on there, Chris?
Chris asking is he fishes in the West. He wants to know if he needs to be East. Be a kayak pro. It seems like kayaking epicenter seems to be over there to make money, to be recognized as a kayak fisher. I guess he's asking him being on the West Coast, is he need to fish over here to get any recognition?
No, I mean, yes and no. You know what I mean? Like Bassmasters the same way. You look at guys like Skeet Reese, Aaron Martins. That's just to name a couple of them. There's several of the guys that come from California, Arizona way that moved to Alabama. You know, or South Carolina or Georgia or anything like that, or Florida, for instance. But a lot of them do that just because a lot of the tournament series was over this way, and there wasn't much going on over it. But if you really look at it, there's still a lot of big events going on. Look at Greg Blanchard, for instance. He does a very popular YouTube kayaking show. We had him on a while back. He does all his tournament. He films everything he does. You know, bad day, good day, you see it all. But he fishes a lot of big events over that way. So I think there's a lot of events. It's just you got to travel a little bit more depending on where you're at in California, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, yeah, didn't
we have somebody else from California last year?
That was Greg Blanchard.
Greg Blanchard?
Yeah,
Okay,
he's from California.
Yeah.
So, and we might have had somebody else on. I can't remember, but Greg Blanchard was on. But like say, yeah, I mean, it depends on how much you want to be a part of it all. But yeah, I mean, it does grow a lot in the eastern side of the United States. You know, I mean, it's kind of the epicenter. But it's kind of crazy because California has some really great fisheries. I mean, it's loaded with some big fish.
You just don't hear a lot about them.
Yeah, you just don't hear a lot about.
At least we don't
events.
anyway. They probably know all about them over there. But
yeah, but I mean, that's where a lot of big spots are caught. That's a lot of where your big largemouth are caught. I mean, you got Texas and Florida that you catch a lot of big fish as well, but there is some big, gigantic fish that are caught over there in California way. So, yeah, it does suck on that end of things. Fortunately, we're here in Virginia, but even when you look at the state-wise, I mean, we got some great events. Casey runs some good month-long events. There's also the KBF stuff. It's on this side, but if you really look at like the big kayak events, it's North Carolina, South Carolina, Florida, Alabama, Tennessee is huge.
East Tennessee especially.
Yeah, you get in those areas, man.
Out there.
But I mean, like say, kayaking's gotten big here too. I mean, I ain't saying it's small in Virginia, but you hear more about those areas. So, anything else come across the board there, Chris?
No, that's it. And
let's show. We were trying to show.
Our starting soon screen is shot. We're just gonna have to come up with something.
Yeah,
different.
I don't know what in the world happened there, but
it's done.
But Ron Waymer, this is for you, buddy.
On,
we were trying to do this earlier. This is what we was going to start doing as our intro, is start having several different bait companies up there, and that way when the show first starts, people see these baits, and it's kind of in their head right then, oh, man, and that's who presents this show, who is sponsoring this show. But we met Ron. We knew Ron. He's done some contests with us, but he does some phenomenal paint jobs and on some great-looking baits, and we just kind of wanted to showcase some of the stuff that Ron was doing. And like I say, if you got a company that you own, or you know somebody that wants their bait showcased, they want to send it to us, we're going to start doing that kind of our intro thing. Instead of our normal One Objective logo and starting soon, we're going to do something with some baits there for people to, just kind of get showcased for a show. Yeah. So, but back to it. If you guys are, didn't catch the beginning of the show because we're come on later, make sure you go over to our YouTube channel, One Objective, and hit the subscribe button. We're going to be down at the Classic, leaving Wednesday, like I said, and we're going to be doing a Classic giveaway. So
and
whatever.
Where we did that video earlier, we were actually live.
What? Oh, really?
Yeah, for like a minute and 37 seconds.
Oh, was it?
Yeah, so we need to get rid of that video.
So what? So Facebook wasn't even like showing it, I guess.
No,
on YouTube.
YouTube was showing us.
Oh yeah,
we were live on YouTube.
Oh yeah,
we were up there and everything, but the preview wasn't showing up.
Yeah,
and
I got you.
Ron says he's got new stuff coming up midweek.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, I think I saved the changes on that to be private. So.
Okay. Well, I put a comment in there saying that we weren't actually going to be live on that. We come back over to Facebook.
I got you. Yeah, sorry about that.
If you changed it private, then I don't guess it really matters then.
Yeah. We had a couple people view it earlier, but it's all right. Hope we didn't say nothing too crazy.
Yeah.
We're probably getting frustrated.
Probably just cussing out Streamlabs.
Yeah. But no, it was a good show. We had a good time with Cory and them. Like I say, nice getting Jody on. It's going to be a great weekend, guys. We won't be doing a show next week. It might be 2 weeks before we get back at the studio to do another show.
Yeah.
So just looking forward to getting you guys some content. We're going to have a lot of content coming in through on the YouTube side. We'll also be having it on our Facebook. We got Media Day coming up. That'll be Thursday. So we'll have a lot of great interviews from the pros that's going to be fishing that. Also, we're going to be trying to see what we can to get some interviews from some of the kayak guys. We just got to see how that goes. So, but other than that, guys, I don't have nothing else I really want to add. I really appreciate everybody that's tuned in with us tonight, especially with some of the technical difficulties we had. But other than that, y'all have a great weekend, and look forward to seeing you guys. And like I say, please share this. Please follow us on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. Man, I'm really excited about the class coming up, man. But we'll see you guys later. We'll talk to you later.
See you.
Bye.